it was on when I came in.
From that 5-4.
Right next to James.
545.
His family.
Technology. All right, here we go. We'll call this committee of the whole meeting to order on June 24th, 2025 at 6:03 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, before we get into public participation, I'm going to move item number 9 up on the agenda. We have a guest on the phone on the Zoom call who wants to speak to the council regarding amendment to solar system site lease agreement with Keystone Power Holdings LLC. Anthony, the floor is yours. Can you hear us? There you are. You're muted.
Oh, can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy agenda to listen to us. We appreciate it. We're excited to get the project building built. We've got panels coming and racking coming here shortly, and we should be starting construction soon. But we sent a couple documents over that we wanted to have you consider. I can just run through them really quickly if that's helpful. They're in your packets I saw from the agenda. Some are pretty straightforward, and others might need a bit of explaining.
Anthony.
So the first one is
Hey,
just
Anthony.
commencement. So we've commenced the lease. That binds us to pay the $1,100 per acre, which is a good rate for that land for 2,500 years. So that was just a notice. Don't need any action from you, but letting you know that we're bound to pay that. When we initially did the lease, it had the option period while we developed it, and then it had the operations period, but it didn't have a construction period. So we are asking in an amendment that's attached if we can pay another $1,500 payment, and that will give us just some time to build the system. So it's an additional $1,500 for the city, and then the operations term would be the same as it was before. So that's the amendment that we provided. And it's also got a memorandum. If you agree to it, we'll need to record it. So unfortunately, we've got to get wet signatures. It's required by our banks. The original lease was also never recorded. We just did e-signatures. I think it may have been end of the pandemic back then when we signed it. We first started working on this project. So we also sent across a memo that just says, yes, we did sign that original lease. Nothing contentious there, but that one we've got to get wet signatures on as well and record. And if I'm going too fast, please just stop me at any point.
Now, Anthony, real quick, I think there might be, can you preface a little bit or take a pause and just kind of explain the project you're talking about? Because we've got some new council members and those who are watching the meeting, they may not be familiar with the fact that this is the existing solar farm and the community solar farm down at the end of Kickapoo Street.
Yeah, of course. Sorry about that. So just to set the stage. So we were awarded a project to build a solar system for the sewer treatment plant just east of the treatment plant to the south of the city. And this was now, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, something like this, 3 or 4 years ago. As part of that work with the city, we offered to lease land and apply that land to another program to offset additional usage from the city buildings. So the sewer treatment plant one should have a good impact on the treatment plant bills, and it's much cheaper than your current rates. You pay 4-cent power for the solar power versus right now it's like 12 cents or so for Ameren, normally like 8 to 9 cents non-summer. So a significant discount for using that land east of the sewer treatment plant, but that's just for the sewer treatment plant. There's additional land to the east that the city owns of the current solar system by the treatment plant that we applied for an award to a different program. It's called Community Driven Community Solar, and we got that award back in 2022, I believe. That's a bigger project. It's about 3 times bigger, roughly. And the city doesn't take all the output of that, it takes a share. And upon some analysis, 20% of the output is a good number for the city to take. And you pay 4 cents, just like on the other, for those bill credits you get from that larger system we're gonna build to the east of the current system, you can already see. That 4 cents is worth, like 12 cents per kilowatt hour here in the summer, and typically 8 to 9 cents. Slightly different because you get bill credits rather than the kilowatt hours from the treatment plant system. But it's actually more valuable because you also get a land rent that's above market. So we're paying $1,100 per fenced acre for the land that we use over there, which is well above market rents, but makes sense for the solar project. So we've been working on that project, waiting on Ameren to do their work for years, and we're finally there, and we're ready to get to work on it. And the reason why I'm here is to give an update, but also just to clean up some of the documents we need with our banks to be able to get moving. Is that a good summary?
It's perfect. Thank you very much.
And if you have any questions, please ask throughout. So we sent over several documents to kind of get us ready to move. Some simple ones and some more complex ones. One was just a notice of commencement, as I said. It's just telling you that we're moving forward with the lease. One was an amendment to the lease that gives us some time to build it for an additional $1,500 for the city. So we'll hope you'll consider that. And it's still the same deal. You're just getting an extra $1,500 to allow us time to build it. And we get the full 25 years after it's built. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing was just a memo of the original lease. We've got to record that with our banks. So it's just a simple document that says, yes, we signed the original lease and it was all fine and good. And then we can record it. And then there's a subscriber agreement. So this is the one where it codifies that the city will get 20% of the output at 4 cents per bill credit. And it lays that all out. It's very simple. It's much simpler than the agreement we had to do where you're consuming all the power for the treatment plant. Sorry, was there a question?
No questions.
Okay. So that subscriber agreement, it's pretty easy to read, and it basically offsets the bills for the rest of the city usage. The city asked us, they want the option to be able to lower that commitment of 20%. And the way we have it is once per year, you can take it down, but you can't take it up and down because we need to have certainty on our side with the other people that will subscribe, hopefully City of Lincoln residents. So it'll start at 20, and if you ever want to reduce it because you feel like it's giving you too many bill credits, the bill credits carry forward forever. But if it was too much for you, you closed some buildings or sold off some buildings or whatever, each year you can take it down, all the way down to 0 if you want it. But it's a very good deal for the school, for the city. And then along with that, whenever a subscription agreement is signed in Illinois, it has to come with a consumer protection document called a disclosure form. So that's generated by the state. It's called Illinois Shines is the solar program. And it just very simply summarizes the agreement and, in even more plain language says what I'm telling you. So you can take a look at that if you would like. but it basically says that you'll save like $60,000 per year at today's rates. But those rates go up and down, but it's a strong savings, and that's not from us. That's from the state.
Got a question.
Yes.
Thank you. Steve Parrott, Alderman Ward 1 here. So you mentioned 4 cents. Can you explain that again? 4 cents kilowatt hour, is that what you said?
Well, for the treatment plant site, it's 4 cents per kilowatt hour because you're consuming all the electricity. This one that we're talking, this new one to the east of that we're going to start building, it's not built yet. It's what's called a community-driven community solar project. So you don't take all the output. It's too much for the rest of the city buildings. So the city will take 20% of the output, and you'll pay 4 cents per bill credit. So each month you'll get credits for the amount of kilowatt hours that 20% equals, and you pay 4 cents for it. But it's worth more than 4 cents. It's worth what's called the price to compare, which is like the government regulated price for electricity. Right now it's 12 cents is what it's worth.
Okay.
But normally it's like 8 to 9 cents outside of summer. You pay 4, but you get a credit for, it's typically 8 to 9. Right now it's 12, but typically 8 to 9 cents.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions for Anthony? Okay. So place this on the regular agenda then? Okay. Alderman Parrott.
Yeah, just one more question, and maybe it's not for Anthony, maybe it's for Wald or for Wes. Are we currently generating power out there? Has Ameren got the equipment that we need
Yes.
for that? Or maybe Kevin can explain.
So it was always generating power, but the switch piece that makes the panels follow the sun broke a second time, and Ameren delayed fixing that. They now have fixed it. I have drove by there daily. They are now following the sun, so we're back to generating 100% of the power that we should be generating. Ameren did tell Keystone that they're not going to fix it again. So Keystone is in I spoke with Billy, not Anthony. Keystone is now in the process of getting of a piece of equipment to replace the piece at their expense of Ameren's, so that if it breaks again, it would continue to work that way. So that's the way this 20-acre one will be also. It will follow the sun. So that, as the sun passes over, the panels will rotate.
How long ago was that fixed?
Just within the last
Recently.
couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we went a long time without 100%. Ameren has been the big stickler here the entire time.
Thank you.
Ameren, for that piece of equipment, made us pay almost $200,000 for it, and it doesn't work, and they don't want anything to do with it. It's their equipment. It's not our equipment. We had to pay for it, and it's been a bit of a nightmare. So, we're sorry you're not getting all the savings you should get. We are desperately trying to get it worked out, because while you're not getting the savings whenever we have these issues, we get zero revenue, and it's a major problem for us. But it's been out of our control. It's been Ameren and their equipment. There's nothing wrong with our equipment.
The other thing is the solar field that they're getting ready to build. Billy was informed that they got a letter that it won't take that long to build this 20 acres, but Ameren said they might have it hooked up to Ameren for the grid sometime late 2026. And I just want to say, that's not just Keystone. I know of a lot of solar projects, and Tracy sits on regional planning we talk about, so they're all waiting on Ameren to allow them to hook up.
Yeah, they made us pay, I forget, it was over $1 million for the upgrades that they have to do. And then they told us, and we paid those ages ago, as soon as they had it ready for us. And they said, well, there's some substation work and there's some other people we're working with. The earliest we can do is middle of next year, which is a bit of a hope, as Kevin said. Probably end of next year is more realistic. we're going to get started and get this thing moving and building, and hopefully they'll catch up and get it done middle of next year. But again, an expense for us. Like, we've already bought and gotten money from our banks and are paying interest on the equipment we've already ordered, but we can't turn them on until Ameren approves it, unfortunately. So kind of is what it is. But we're basically ready to get moving if we can get your help on getting these last documents cleaned up.
Ms. McClellan?
So is this one engineered the same way with the same piece that could possibly break the same way?
No, so it wasn't actually our equipment. It is a tracking system with similar equipment all throughout, but that's not where the issue is. The issue is this thing called a PME5 switch that Ameren made us put in on the sewer treatment plant site to kind of isolate it, and that thing has not worked. There is no PME5 switch on the new system. So
Thank you.
hopefully we shouldn't have anything like the issues we've had with the old system. But again, it's kind of Ameren's equipment, and they need to, if they want us to pay all this, they should have it working. We have to pay for it, and then it breaks, and then they don't fix it. Sorry to complain, but it kind of, as I said, is what it is.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll place this on the regular agenda then. Okay. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you all very much. Have a great meeting. Bye.
You as well. Okay, we will go back to public participation. We do have a speaker card, and Cale West would like to speak with the council about a car show on July 19th. Cale?
So similar to the show we put on last year, I think it was June last year, for the 60th anniversary with the Friends of Ford program. They gave us a budget this year again to put on another show. What we're thinking is possibly having it start out over by the Postville courthouse and then go on a cruise through Route 66. Still trying to figure out the logistics there. But ultimately where we want to end up is kind of where we started last year, pull in right outside our building on Hamilton there, and then fill in that back half of South Hamilton down Pulaski Street, and then stop it right at Kickapoo. So we won't take up Kickapoo at all. And then I've already checked the retail therapy is the following weekend, I believe it is. So there's no conflict with that. And then I also talked with Bennett Funeral Home earlier today to make sure that there was no event going or funeral going on over there for that day.
What are
at
the
this
hours?
moment. We're looking at like probably, I put a range on it, but probably pulling into town around like 9 or 10 and then ending the show around 12 or 1.
Okay. Questions? Ms. McClellan? Can you use your microphone, please?
No.
No, that's not a real, okay.
Nope, I talked with them as well, and we're going to merge, or he's having his, I think, 2 weekends before, I think it
Okay.
is. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it's a different date.
And that's going to take up the block of Pulaski Street in front of like Sherwin-Williams, isn't that right?
Yeah,
You
yes.
spoke with them?
I have not spoke with them yet, but that's my next move is to go talk to a couple more of the business
And then
owners.
Mamas as
Yeah.
well, yeah. Okay. So you'll then be submitting a request?
Yeah.
to the council, a road closure request? Okay. Right. Are there any other questions for Cale? Ms. McClellan?
I just wanted to say that that was a really good event. A lot of people from everywhere. We just chatted with people from everywhere, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun, so.
Yeah, I think the furthest we had was some people from Nebraska that drove all the way out, and then this year we recently had a lady who was going to an event up in Michigan. She flew into Chicago and drove down to meet, and she's from Washington State, and she said that she wants to either road trip their vehicles all the way out here or do something because they want to attend this year. So.
Mr. Bateman?
Well, if he gets lucky, the dealership I work for was actually awarded a 60th anniversary Mustang because it is the 60th anniversary of the Mustang. If it isn't sold, I did find out today that that Mustang will be on display at your event. So, kind of special. It's in the showroom, right? Well, you saw it. It's in
Yeah.
the showroom
The
floor. So
19th of July.
not every dealer got one. So.
Anything else for Kale? Okay, so are we, he's gonna bring that back at the next Cal?
No.
Or do you wanna put it on the agenda for next week?
No, if he gives me the form, I can get it on and get everybody else's signature, and if you get that
Yeah.
to me tomorrow.
Yeah, I have it all filled out. I'll
Okay.
bring it in the morning.
Okay.
Council, okay, putting that on the regular agenda? Okay, we'll put that on the regular agenda for next week. Okay, thanks, Kale.
That's consent. It's consent. Road closure.
We can put it on the, okay, we'll put it on the consent agenda. All right, 1 second. Okay. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak under public participation? Okay. Moving on to item number 4, Lincolnwood Lift Station Pump 1 repair. Mr. Bounds.
All right, so we've got pump number 1 out at the Lincolnwood lift station that we just basically needed a full rebuild. Rewinding, seals, impeller. It's got enough life left in it to justify repairing it as opposed to replacement for this one. So asking the council to approve a not to exceed price of $19,383.76 to be expensed from the equipment fund.
Questions for Mr. Bounds? Alderman Parrott?
What would a new one of similar capacity cost?
You're looking about $35,000 and about 600% of the lead time. The lead time is the bigger problem with that one, Steve.
What's the expectancy you think after the repair?
Another 10 to 15 years.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Bateman?
Mr. Bounds, would it be prudent for not on this voting session, but you come forward? Would it be prudent for us to buy a pump and have it sitting at the plant as a spare?
So I absolutely do not disagree with that opinion. I think that's a great idea. We are working towards standardization. You guys have heard me talk about that for a few years, but we're still not in a position where I can buy one pump that could go into multiple locations. So we are moving towards that with Union Street. That was the last major project we did for standardization and sticking with the Flight branded pumps. This lift station has Flight as well. That's what we would like to move with everything. I guess the short answer is yes. If we would like to start stocking some of these things, that would be a phenomenal idea. If you guys are looking for a presentation like that, I can definitely get that done for you. I will, however, tell you that we are definitely not budgeted for that, but we could start taking small bites of the elephant.
I would like to see something like that because unfortunately with our aged infrastructure, we're going to have a major downtime at one point, and then with, like you said, the 600% lead time, it would be nice to get and use your expertise on to get what pump we could get, and if need be, what adapters to make it work in multiple locations so that if something would happen, we could be on a go, no-go basis. Like you said, it's not budgeted for, but if toward the end of the fiscal year, if we have some, we could at least pull the trigger on something like that.
Nope, I can definitely start working on something like that for you.
Okay. Place us on the regular agenda. Okay. Place item number 4 on the regular agenda. Next item is item number 5, amendment number 2 to CMT work order number 4, general sewer engineering. Mr. Bounds.
So this is an extension of the same amendment that we passed last year to continue the general sewer work order. These are the one-offs. They're not major projects when we're dealing with CMT for these things. It's to call about one specific issue and get advice. The last major thing that they did under this work order that I'm asking you to extend was the renewal of the NPDS permit, which is what allows us to legally discharge at the federal and state level. Asking for a $20,000 increase or an amendment to the work order. And I believe that brings the total of the contracted amount for the since inception to $80,000. And this item is budgeted for.
Regular agenda.
Regular agenda. Okay. Place item number 5 on the regular agenda. Okay, next item up is number 6, increase in sidewalk reimbursement rate. Mr. Landers.
Yes, we've had a rate of $2 per square foot reimbursement for ever since I've been here, which has been over 11 years. And with the economic conditions the way they are and the cost of materials and labor and everything else, it's past time to get this increased, and hopefully it'll encourage residents that want to get their sidewalks taken care of before we can get to them. It'll hopefully encourage them to take those actions necessary.
Mr. Bateman.
So Stan brought this up a few weeks ago and asked Walt to look into it. Since then, I've had a couple people call to complain that it was only $2. They both had sidewalk replacement cost at well above that. So did a little bit more research and $12, and Walt came with the same figure at $12 a square foot seems to be the average going rate for a plain sidewalk. So this way people, if they're willing to pony up some of their own money, they can fix the sidewalk in front of their house and get half the square footage average rate back. So I think this is a good idea.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Downs.
Yeah, could you repeat that again? We're going from $2 to $12 for our reimbursement?
$6.
Going from $2 to $6
Okay.
because the average cost per square foot is $12 a square foot.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, it's going to cover a little more than half of the project if they had a local or a contractor in the area that does the work, materials and labor. So
Can you also share how much is budgeted and how many requests you get annually for this?
so we have a budget of $8,000 per year, which if we start seeing people take advantage of this, we can adjust the budget and include more if it starts to take off. After doing some research, working on this memo, over the last 3 years, we've done about 6 reimbursements. Totaling, I think it was right, 3,500 something, around $3,500.
Okay. Okay. So Mr. Clemens?
Are we gonna give them standards to?
Absolutely. So we plan on having it, in which we've done in the past. We do a pre-inspection. We'll talk to them and make sure that these issues are here, and this is especially ADA and construction standards have to be met according to city code. And then we do a post-inspection afterwards to make sure that it meets those codes and standards. And if it doesn't, and if they decided not to listen to us, then they don't get the reimbursement.
Mr. Bateman?
So the other thing, the city attorney should be working on, it's Andrew brought it up, is the reimbursement. Since it's a reimbursement, you must have a final bill and proof of payment. So like a canceled check or money order, before the city's gonna cut you a check. It's not gonna take your word for it and a photo of a crayon filled out check that we're gonna get it. So we're working on the language for that. That would go into the sewer reimbursement language and this kind of any language the city has that has reimbursement type language.
And part of the language that we have in the Economic Development Grant Program requires that they get 2 bids and they must be on company letterhead when we receive them. So,
One thing I'd like to mention is that your homeowner, regarding this, at least the sidewalk reimbursement, the homeowner's still gonna have a significant expense. And so I don't necessarily feel that we need any type of paid invoice or anything like that. In the past, generally, we just get the invoice from the concrete plant for the material bought. We go inspect the sidewalk. You make sure we measure it, make sure what the square footage of public sidewalk is. And what I mean by public sidewalk, it's the sidewalk that runs parallel to the street. So it's not any part of the carriage walk or driveway approach or anything like that. And we measure that, and then we pay it by the square foot, which that's how it's calculated. So,
Mr. Anderson?
If there's a homeowner that has some handyman experience and wants to do it themselves, do they have to utilize a contractor? We're talking about getting bids, but okay. But I'm just asking on a sidewalk project. I mean, as long as it was inspected prior and everything's a go and it's fine at the end, I mean, I'm just asking if a homeowner can do it and not hire a contractor.
currently,
Leading up
yes.
until now, that they could.
Yes.
That's not to say that we have to change that. I'm just saying it's been proposed.
I like the idea that if someone's capable of doing it and saving some money and wants to improve their sidewalk,
The city benefits from their effort.
yeah.
I mean, they benefit as well, but the city, gets a new asset. And they have to follow the same standards for all other sidewalks that are poured, so.
Just when you're talking about a paid invoice and, a receipt and so forth, I'm just wanting to make sure that it's okay that a homeowner, can apply and do this themselves without a contractor.
Well, I think they would still be able to provide an invoice for at least the materials, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Walt said
Because
that
If we
Concrete
get
plant.
the invoice, we require the invoice from the concrete plant. Now, that could be for 10 yards, but it could only be 2 yards of city public sidewalk. And that's where the measurement comes into play.
right.
So we measure that square footage of what the sidewalk was, and they're getting about half of what that cost in reimbursement.
the reimbursement is after Walt or the street and alley department inspects it and signs off on it. So
Mr. Clemens?
I guess that's what I was getting at, is you don't get it
Mr. Clemens?
My thing is, I just want to make sure that we're using approved materials. I don't want some guy going out and get 5 bags of Saccharine and building a public sidewalk.
That's all listed in the code, the construction standard.
Mr. Parrott?
And still would need to get a permit.
At least an excavation permit or a right-of-way, a dirt break permit, yes. A bond, so it's $1,000 bond, which is a refundable bond. So once the work's complete, we inspect, they get that money back.
Okay.
Move we place it on regular agenda.
Yes. Okay, we'll place this on the regular agenda. Okay, next up is item number 7, adopting amendment number 1 to the appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2024-2025. Treasurer Conzo.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you've all received copies of it. I've sent this out, emailed it to you. I don't know if you had questions about it. Those of you that are new here may not be entirely familiar with the process, but what we try to do is we look at the lines within each fund or sub-fund in the cases of the general fund where there are sub-funds, where we've exceeded what we had appropriated, and in order to bring that in line with that, we've transfer amounts that we did not, from lines that we did not use. If everything were perfect and we were all 100% accurate, we'd get these right when we did the budget and the appropriation to begin with. But things happen that we don't anticipate. Generally, it means stuff breaks. That's usually what causes most of this. The other thing is you run into situations with shortage of personnel, and so you end up having to spend more money on overtime than you would have if you had filled the jobs, if we've been able to fill the jobs. So those are generally the reasons for these. There are a few other things in here that are, kind of outside of those things, but most of it has to do with covering expenses for things we didn't know we were going to have to purchase because something broke, or for overtime. There are a couple of things here with we never quite get this 100% right with the lines of the insurance policies, the health insurance and the liability insurance. And the reason for that is that we start our fiscal year in May, and we don't know until the end of the calendar year what the new rates are going to be, and those new rates go into effect at the beginning of the calendar year. We generally appropriate more than we need, but we don't always get it. Excuse me, we don't always get it in the right lines, and as a result of that, you can see we've had to make some adjustments there. With regard to that, some of these changes have to do with salaries. You'll see some of them in here for as little as $2 or $5. Those are de minimis. They probably would not need to be addressed, but for the sake of doing this right, I thought we're doing this anyway, we would include those in there so that it would be complete. But some of these are very small amounts. If there are any questions, I would be happy to try to answer those.
Questions for Treasurer Conzo? Okay, place this on the regular agenda. Okay. We'll place item number 7 on the regular agenda. Next up is item number 8, Lincoln's LED lighting project. Ms. Bateman.
Back in March, you approved the lighting of the new lighting through the Ameren grant for City Hall, the wastewater treatment, and the Hamilton garage. And they realized through the second walkthrough that there was 18 additional lights that wasn't counted originally. So they needed to increase the labor amount of $1,420. So originally, the whole entire lighting project you approved not to exceed $16,180. So it's just an additional $1,420 for the wastewater treatment.
Mr. Parrott.
So it's just for labor, but not for additional equipment?
No, it's just for the.
Because the equipment is part of the rebate type thing or whatever. Okay.
Originally, the wastewater treatment plant was $5,750, and now it's after the 18 additional lighting. It's everything from beginning to end is going to be a total of $7,170. Yeah. Okay. And they're going to save more than that in lighting just using the LED lights.
Did they forget to go into a room or something?
I think the first time there was one person they went through with, and the next time it was somebody else, and then that's when the electrician was with them the second time, and there was another building or something that they didn't catch. Yeah.
It was too dark in there. They couldn't see them all.
All right, so place this on the regular agenda. Okay. All right, we'll place item number 8 on the regular agenda. Okay, that brings us down to item number 10, ordinance creating 2-2 of the Lincoln City Code. Mr. Hoblet.
So the last time we were here, indicated that the like potentially to create the commission/committee first. That'll promulgate a code of conduct. I've spoken with various council members, especially Alderman McClellan, who was able to provide a code of conduct, a template for a code of conduct. Admittedly, I believe it was outside the boundaries of Illinois, but I think would suffice for our purposes. I added that into, along with enforcement provisions that go along with that. If the council desires to pass this, as opposed to what I proposed previously, it would make the tabled version that is currently on the voting session redundant. With this respective revision here, this also encompasses all elected officials, not just the city council. And it is the commission for at least 3 members and 1 member of the public.
Ms. McClellan.
Just first of all, thank you to the city attorney for working on this so diligently through so many different copies of what we were trying to do, and for Mrs. O'Donoghue and Mr. Sanders, who brought it up in the first place and really brought it to everybody's attention. So the thing about the code of conduct that I think appeared in everybody's packet is that there's 3 points to it. One is how we treat each other. You know, it's all about respect, really, how we treat each other and how we treat our constituents, and then how we treat the office that we're in. You know, treating this office as serving the people with respect and being informed and making sure that we know what our constituents are thinking and things like that. So it's really a 3-pronged thing. And just like the city attorney, or I'm not sure who said, but it does then encompass everybody. It encompasses aldermen and elected officials, and then even, as it's written, the committees that we have and the commissions that we have. And so anybody who is operating really under the authority of the city council and speaks into the city council is covered into this. And so we're all acting under the same standards in the same way with respect for each other. And so it kind of covers most of the things that the original one covered. There's a couple of things really that that aren't, but yeah, it's really about respect. So I just wanted to share that.
Questions for Mr. Hoblet on this one? Mr. Sanders?
Can you put your microphone down? We have to untable the old one and then adopt this one?
So right now, the tabled version's on the voting meeting. So it remains on the table until you take it off the table. And I would presume that if you're going to pass this, you either vote in denial of that one or take it off the table, and then whoever did the first and second to bring it on originally would retract it and then just let it die.
You just remove
Once
it
they vote to remove it from the table, can they just vote to remove it from
from the agenda.
Yeah.
the
Yes.
agenda?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Just- okay.
Yeah.
And this will already be on this one. If you move forward, will be on the agenda as another voting item. Mr. Bateman?
So as a procedural matter, for next week's voting meeting, item whatever would be to vote, remove the original one. And then the next item on the agenda would be to approve this one.
There will be an item on the agenda for the tabled item. So we'll need a vote to remove it from the table. Then we'll need a vote to remove it from the agenda. And then there will be another vote on this item that you move forward, the new version that's moved forward,
I know
correct?
This is a public issue, so that's why I would like them to be back to back, so someone watching the meeting isn't gonna, item 2 is this and item 9 is something else.
I would propose that you would have this one first. So, if in the event that someone wants to go with the original version, you would pass this one. Thereby, the second one would become redundant at that point. You vote it and you remove it from the agenda. If the appetite of the council is to, I think that'd be the cleanest way. But
That's
you guys can go proceed as.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Put this one first. Okay, that's how we'll proceed next week. Okay, so place item number 10 on the regular agenda. Okay, I do have an item that's not on the agenda. Did not make it on there. It's not anybody's fault except for, I guess, mine. But we did have a ordinance that was passed regarding the purchase of the bank property, and we need to do an amendment to that to address the cost of the purchase. So I'll let Mr. Hoblet explain how we're going to address that, and then we can have a conversation.
Right. So this purchase deviates from our normal purchases because typically our normal purchases have been for nominal amounts. We looked back in So when we bought, like say the police and the new police station, it was baked in the ordinance, the amount. So we would need to do an amendment. You guys approved the purchase of it, and to proceed forward with it, we would just need to amend, because we actually need to approve the approval of the dispensation of the funds. So that's the amendment that we would need. It'd be amendment to the previous ordinance. We'd affix it to the back of the ordinance that was previously passed, and that would be it.
Okay. So the cost purchase of the building is $150,000. That'll be in the amendment. At least the conversations regarding the contract with Heartland Bank, and I've spoke with the treasurer multiple times about this, is that it would be done in 2 payments, and the first payment would be this year. The second one would be done in the next fiscal year. All of the money for the purchase of it is not coming out of any other fund except for hotel motel. Hotel motel tax will pay for this expense. Just to clear up some confusion or misinformation that's out there, the property is being purchased exclusively for tourism initiatives to support part of the new tourism department that the city has approved, and economic development. They go hand in hand. We have some things that are being discussed regarding the purchase of this building. Can't disclose some of that because we have agreements that have not been completed and signed, but those are the 2 initiatives for this property. I think that's all the details. Anybody else have anything to add to that? Well, I mean, not necessarily wrong. I understand that
City Hall's not moving down the street?
City Hall is not moving down the street. No, we just spent a substantial amount of money on upgrades and remodels to this building, and we'll continue to operate out of this building. I have not heard that one yet. No. So I mean, I think it's perfectly normal for people to speculate, given that there's some things that we've had to not been able to talk about up to this point. But we can at least with confidence say it is those 2 topics. So we will share more information in the coming weeks after we get some things wrapped up. We need to get this approved, and then we can move forward with the paperwork on some other some pieces of that. So we okay placing this on the regular agenda, an amendment to the previous ordinance? Okay. All right. That brings us down to announcements. The only thing I have is just want to say thank you to everybody who played a role, participated, took part in Third Fridays. Nashville Nights was a huge success. I think we had a lot more people than we've seen in the past, and it was very active. Didn't really have any major issues, given how many people were down there. Chief, thanks to your department for support of the event while you were there. Appreciate it. I know the fire department had a booth set up as well, so hopefully they did well. So, Mr. Parrott.
It was a great event. I think just 2 things. We had to have 1 car towed, so make sure that your vehicles are not parked where they should not be. We still got to work a little thing out with the post office, I think.
Yeah.
They like to lay on the horn, and it was a little windy to start off, and so we weren't able to get the 1 hour of bouncy in. But other than that, it was a great evening.
Yeah, I thought so too. Mr. Bateman. Hold on. Miss Bateman.
I just want to put it out there. You have to sign up. If you want to participate, you have to sign up on the 3rd Friday. Either do it online or go print out the piece of paper and send it in. But it is cut off at the end of the day, the week before the event. And this month, there will be no exceptions.
For vendors.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
For vendors.
We didn't have nowhere to put people, and then people canceled, and then people wanted in. So we're not going down that road again.
Yep. Mr. Bateman, then Mr. Downs.
So the other thing I would like to preference, and this is partially my fault because I sit on the Third Friday committee and I just do what I do on Third Friday and that's it, is on the application, there is the stipulation, do you need power? So there's a big confusion. It's not confusion. There's a difference between power and actual amperage. So if you need power, what that application means is a standard 110 outlet. You can't roll up on Third Friday after these fine women spend all their time locating everybody, and it's a job, putting everybody to where they need to be, and then hold up a 50 amp RV plug-in and say, where's my power? So I'm just putting that out there because, and there is absolutely no water service ever. Never was. So we got the gentleman his power, but I'm just saying from now on, when you have an application and you need power, that means your standard 110 plug-in, and you should know a little bit. I have to say we blew a few breakers because if you don't know, do a few studies. You can't run 3 gigantic roasters off a 14 gauge extension cord 100 feet long and not expect it to be so hot you can't grab it. So just, do a little research, or if you have questions, contact the Third Friday committee, and they will be more than gracious to give you my phone number. I will answer it any time between 4 a.m. and 9 p.m., and we'll discuss power needs. But power is 110 outlets.
Mr. Downs.
Yeah, perfect segue there, Kevin. I had someone at that Third Friday ask me how they can become a vendor. So how do they contact the Third Friday committee?
On the city website, what tab is it now?
I think it's services.
Services, and there's a Third Friday thing.
Okay,
Go down
so
and
through
you
the
just
city
click.
website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they can
Okay.
call me and I can walk them through where to go.
We have an email address. It's thirdfridays@lincolnil.gov.
I was just looking for that email address. I couldn't find it anyway.
Yeah.
I thought
It's
I
on that page.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Yep. So, I mean, some of these things that have come up, they're, in my opinion, they're growing pains. This event it continues to grow, and we're experiencing things that we haven't had to experience in the past. It started out as a snow cone machine and somebody setting up for games and organizational awareness and things. It's now grown. It's almost becoming an event, right? Like a street festival. And so we have food vendors and things that people are running, trailers with equipment in them that we just didn't really prepare for. So that's why we ask for that additional time, and we have a cutoff so that we can accommodate people. We do try to accommodate everybody the day of the event, but between 4 o'clock when we close roads and 5:30 when it kicks off, there's a little bit of chaos that goes on to make sure everybody's where they need to be and gets out of the event area. So just be patient. The committee does a good job of getting everything set up and doing all the prep work. And after the party's over, we're the ones that are still downtown picking up and stuff like that. So be patient with the committee. Mr. Bateman.
So again, back to the power issue. If you need power, the only power we have is the Up and Smoke Committee supplies power only to the inside of the courthouse square. So please bear in mind that you may need to sign up early to get you a spot, because there is limited spots available on the inside of the square. If you're only needing power because you think you're going to be a little warm and you want to run a fan to keep yourself cool, there's a lot of nice battery powered fans out there. You might be polite and leave that spot for someone who actually running cookers or popcorn machines and those kind of things, lights, vendors selling lights and that kind of stuff. So please just be aware, as Mr. Welch said, it is growing. And I had the map. It was over 60-some spots, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a growing event for only 3 or 4 hours in the evening. It takes a lot of volunteers, a lot of hands-on, and a lot of physical labor. Appreciate the people that showed up at 4 o'clock, Mr. Parrott and others, to help us close streets and barricades and slide picnic tables and that kind of stuff. So it's a good event. I've noticed a lot of people coming in from out of town. So let's keep it going. But as Mr. Welch said, there's some growing pains, and we just need to work through those issues and make sure everybody keeps cool heads and understand that we can't control the weather. I think the other thing we need to add is, and Mrs. Bateman pointed this out, the event runs till 8:30. If you're tired, you don't get to move the barricade and drive your car down to your spot at 10 till 8 to start loading your vehicle, because then it gets pretty hairy with kids still running around in the street and stuff for safety issues. So if you're going to be a vendor, please ask what the rules are and please follow those rules. Thank you.
Tough act to follow. Okay. Anybody else have an announcement? Sam, were you involved with Juneteenth? I made a stop by and spoke with Jennifer about it. It seemed very well organized.
It was incredibly well organized. I was not involved in the planning with Juneteenth, but I was there in attendance. It was a beautiful event, perfect weather. It was smooth, and everybody appeared to have a good time. I was only there from like 4:30 till the close, but it seemed to go really, really well.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Parrott.
Yeah, I was there, and it seemed like, what's the road in front of the church? Could they not?
McLean?
Yeah. Couldn't they not move the vendors from Kickapoo to that side? That way you can keep Kickapoo open. It did seem like there was much going on over on that street, and that there's, I think, more shade for them as well, right? I just think that would probably be a better, to me, I mean, keep Kickapoo open. It'd be cooler for some of those vendors over there.
Yeah, perhaps the chief, he had conversations with the organizers about their justification for that road.
I did. I actually suggested the closure of Delavan or Latham Place, however you want to describe it, McLean Street and Pekin Street, and leaving Kickapoo open because it is a major thoroughfare. The fire department, the police department use it frequently for responses. The reason why I decided to support the decision to close McLean Street is because after a second conversation with the event organizer, the time frame for the event shortened by quite a bit. Initially, it was almost 12 hours, and I think it moved down to 5 or 6. And then also, they explained to me that Copper and Oak and the donut store were supporting the event, and there were a lot of attendees that had walked across the street last year to enjoy their products, and they felt there was a safety issue. So believing that the safety of the attendees was more important than 5 hours of the street being closed, I approved at least my portion, my third of the street closure.
Then was McLean need to be closed as well too, because there didn't seem like there was anything going on that that side of the park, and
I would have been fine with the 3 sides of the park that I suggested and not Kickapoo. It makes a lot of sense, but due to those businesses being patronized by the attendees in the park, crossing Kickapoo Street, if you don't do it the right way, can be dangerous depending on what time of day it is. So that's why it was approved, and I think it could be successful with leaving Kickapoo open, so long as the pedestrian traffic understood the right way across and did it safely.
there was a lot of people parked over in those parking lots. I'll say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was. Okay. Anybody else have an announcement? Okay. If there are no other announcements, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Alderman Downs made the motion. Alderman Clemmons second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Meeting is adjourned at 7:02 p.m.